First up, did you know that your brain can eat itself? Yes, it sounds like something out of a horror movie, but it's true. Pause for effect. Under certain conditions, your brain can turn a little cannibalistic. This phenomenon isn't as gruesome as it sounds, though. It's a natural process called autophagy, where brain cells start to digest themselves. Autophagy is a kind of cellular housekeeping. It's the brain's way of cleaning up and recycling unnecessary or dysfunctional components. It usually happens when we're under stress, or when we're not getting enough sleep. Extreme dieting can also trigger this process. Essentially, when our brain doesn't get the energy it needs, it starts to break down its own components to fuel itself. Now, before you start worrying about your brain nibbling on itself, it's worth noting that autophagy isn't necessarily a bad thing. In fact, it can be quite beneficial. It helps to remove debris, repair brain cells, and keep our minds functioning properly. But like all good things, too much of it can be harmful. Excessive autophagy can lead to cell death, which is as ominous as it sounds. When brain cells die, they can't be replaced, and this can lead to a variety of brain-related problems. In essence, a little brain munching can be a good thing, cleaning house and keeping things running smoothly. But if it goes overboard, it can turn into a horror show. While this process can help remove debris and repair brain cells, excessive autophagy can lead to cell death. Imagine waking up one day and believing that your loved ones have been replaced by imposters. This isn't a plot from a science fiction movie, but a chilling reality for individuals suffering from a rare psychological disorder known as Capgras delusion. In the web of the human mind, Capgras delusion spins a particularly strange and unsettling thread. The person affected by this disorder becomes convinced that someone they know, often a close family member or friend, has been substituted by an identical-looking imposter. It's like living in a perpetual state of mistrust and deception, where even the most familiar faces become unrecognizable. But what causes this eerie delusion? The answer lies in the intricate workings of our brain. In a healthy brain, visual recognition and emotional response work hand in hand. When we see someone we know, our brain not only recognizes them, but also associates them with a certain emotional response. This emotional connection helps us understand that the person we see is indeed who they appear to be. In the case of Capgras delusion, however, this link is believed to be severed. The visual recognition system works just fine, so the person can still recognize faces. But the emotional response is absent. This lack of emotional connection leads the person to believe that the familiar individual is an imposter. This disturbing disorder is believed to be caused by a disconnect between visual recognition and emotional response in the brain. Next, let's talk about fatal familial insomnia. Now, we've all had sleepless nights, but imagine a condition that robs you of the ability to sleep, night after night, with no end in sight. This is the reality for those affected by fatal familial insomnia, a rare and devastating genetic disorder. Fatal familial insomnia involves progressively worsening insomnia, leading to a cascade of physical and mental symptoms. Sufferers may first experience mild sleep disturbances, but over time these evolve into chronic insomnia. As the condition progresses, individuals may also display symptoms such as hallucinations, rapid weight loss, and even dementia. But why does this happen? The culprit is a prion disease. Prions are misfolded proteins that can cause damage to the brain. In the case of fatal familial insomnia, these rogue prions target the thalamus, a crucial part of the brain that regulates sleep. As the disease progresses, the damage to the thalamus becomes so severe that it can no longer perform its role in regulating sleep. And the most devastating part? There's currently no cure for fatal familial insomnia. Once symptoms begin, the disease progresses rapidly, leading to significant physical and mental deterioration and ultimately, death. This rare genetic disorder not only disrupts sleep, but also leads to significant physical and mental deterioration and ultimately death. Our brains are remarkably adaptable thanks to something called neuroplasticity. This is the ability of our brain to change and adapt throughout our lives, whether in response to learning, experience, or injury. It's the reason we can recover from brain damage, learn new skills, or adapt to new environments. But here's the catch. Just as a superhero's powers can be used for good or evil, so can our brain's adaptability. It's a double-edged sword that, while often beneficial, can sometimes lead to devastating effects. Consider the case of severe addiction. Drugs or alcohol can hijack the brain's reward system, causing a rush of pleasure or relief. Over time, the brain adapts to these substances, creating strong neural pathways that associate the addictive substance with this reward. This is essentially the brain rewiring itself to crave the addiction, making it incredibly difficult for the person to quit. Similarly, in the aftermath of traumatic experiences, the brain can rewire itself in harmful ways. The neural pathways associated with fear and stress can become overly active, leading to conditions like post-traumatic stress disorder, where the person continually relives the traumatic event. However, this plasticity isn't always beneficial. In cases of severe addiction or trauma, the brain can rewire itself in harmful ways. It's a sobering reminder of the power and potential dangers of our brain's adaptability. Lastly, let's explore a brain fact straight out of a zombie apocalypse. We're talking about Cotard's syndrome, a rare neurological condition that is as eerie as it sounds. Those with this syndrome experience a bizarre delusion. They believe that they are dead, or that parts of their body are missing. They may even deny their own existence, all while being fully conscious and able to interact with the world around them. Imagine for a moment the profound disconnect from reality that these individuals must experience. It's a sobering reminder of the power of our brains and how they shape our perception of ourselves and the world. This syndrome, though rare, serves as a stark example of the strange and sometimes frightening ways in which brain disorders can impact our lives. This is a disturbing example of how drastically brain disorders can alter perception,